Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody. Hi, everybody. I actually thought I was just talking. I wasn't sure that I didn't know that the live stream was not working until somebody actually commented on my comment saying that it was stuck. I was wondering why I only have maybe 6 people watching. It's very, very unusual. Is the sentiment really that bad, right? I was very, very extremely confused. Thank you, Kurt. I was extremely confused. Let me go ahead and copy this link over there because this is very, very unusual. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm gonna copy the link over. Second, this is extremely weird. Okay, let's try this live stream again. Technical difficulties earlier. All right, I'm just gonna post that on X, and here we go again. I don't know what the heck happened here, so let's dive right into this. And I was thinking, hey, is the sentiment that extreme that like there are only maybe like 6 people watching my live stream now? But finally somebody said something. I don't know what the heck happened. You guys, if it doesn't work, say something, because otherwise I was just talking nonstop for like 15, 20 minutes, wondering why there's nobody watching. Anyway, I'm gonna start over again. Okay. The overall, I do have like some chart requests here that I do want to fulfill. I think somebody was asking about ticker symbol Dave. Somebody was asking about GLXY Digital. I'm going to address those kinds of things. I'm going to go to the indexes. Going to go to the crypto market here, which has been extremely brutalized, including like Dogecoin and JASMY and all that stuff. I'm going to go through all of them as much as I can. Well, I already wasted like the last 20 minutes just kind of talking to myself. So thank you, Kurt, for letting me know. All right, I'm going to speed through here because I'm going to try and make up through time here. I'm going to get in chart here from 2009 all the way up to here, right? From the depth of the great financial crisis all the way up to here. As you can see, that it's been showing really, really good market symmetry, where it's just basically been backtesting art after breakthrough, backtesting art after breakthrough, backtesting art over here 3 times, kind of like St. Peter, before breakthrough, backtested over here twice before breaking through, and right now we broke through and we're backtesting it once right here. Doesn't mean we have to backtest twice, or doesn't mean we backtest 3 times. Not necessarily. Sometimes you just kind of have a little bit of a tap here and then just ran, right? Sometimes you just kind of have a little bit of a tap over here, it goes sideways, or a little bit consolidate, and then just ran, right? Sometimes you just have like a pretty brutal tap over here and it just ran, right? I think right now we're at a juncture where it is extremely interesting in terms of where we're at right now. Hello again, Gary. Hello, Ian. I really thought I was talking to you. I really thought like nobody cared to listen to what I have to say anymore. That's okay. That's going to bode extremely well for my stocks. It doesn't bode very well for my YouTube adventures, but it's going to bode very, very well for my stocks if nobody's listening to what I have to say. But unfortunately, you guys are here, so I'm going to look at GLXY. Don't worry, Gary. It's on my list. But I do want to address, a lot of people are saying, oh, there's a lot of technical breakdown, a lot of bad things happening, all that stuff. I just want to address it. First of all, before I go any further, I just want to let you guys know there's no way for me to like separate the live stream comments from like tiers. If you guys want to request charts on live stream, feel free to do that. Last weekend was just extremely brutalizing. I think I had like more than like 80 different chart requests between Friday and Saturday. It was just really, really hard for my voice to be able to do all that, and also really, really hard for my fingers to be able to do all that. I just didn't think it was sustainable anymore. So I ended up creating a new tier, which is for like requests. You can still watch all the videos and things like that, for the $5 tier, but I created like a $10 tier in case you have any chart requests, things like that. Please do try to take that into consideration and select that tier if you do want to do like chart requests before the stream, or make sure that you're able to have that addressed. If you shout out here, I'm still going to try to address it if I have time, right? But if you are requesting things and I don't get to it, that would be a way to kind of get to it. Anyway, just want to talk a little bit more about that now. Getting right back in the charts here, right? I'm not seeing any technical breakdown over here. I'm going to basically silence my can here and look at Ichimoku. On the bull market, price tend to ride up along the blue line, right? Sometimes it doesn't really touch it. Sometimes it overshoots it, right? But in the bull market, it rides the Tenkan, the blue line up on above the Ichimoku cloud, right? On the bull market, it rides the Tenkan up on the Ichimoku cloud. Here is a little bit of anomaly in 2020, 2021 because of all the liquidity that was being splashed around. We ended up getting punished for it. We didn't even bother touching the Tenkan here. This over here was extremely unhealthy. Extremely unhealthy. But over here, it's been pretty healthy, right? August 2024, Japan yen carry trade. I don't know, whatever. I mean, touched the Tenkan here almost perfectly, just ran up. Right now, we're getting close to the Tenkan. I think things were a little bit overextended away from the Tenkan. I think we just simply needed to correct for price and time. It did both, right? But does that mean that we're at a bear market and that this bear market is going to start? There's really no proof of that here at all whatsoever. What do you need proof of? Well, first of all, you have to break down underneath the Tenkan first, right? I don't even know if I can like seriously consider this being absolutely start of a bear market unless it breaks down underneath the Tenkan, right? Secondly, I would like to see it try to backtest the Tenkan and failing, kind of like what it did over here, right? Backtest Tenkan and just kind of failing, right? But having a backtest on a Tenkan is not like a confirmation that the bear market is starting. It's just not. I'll pull back the GAN over here. I'm going to add my M2 Global Liquidity Index fund here. Click on like joined button. If you click on it, it's going to give you the option to upgrade. And there are already like a few people have already upgraded. So I want to thank you for that. Although those people are not requesting charts. So I think they just want to support me, which I greatly appreciate it. But I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to talk about the global liquidity here in terms of what I'm thinking. I think that things generally stall at a moment when you have, and I'm going to keep showing this over and over again, price of stocks in the market generally stalls whenever you have a resistance of the global liquidity, right? The market runs on global liquidity. No matter how great your company is, no matter how great your stock market is, no matter how great your economy is, if the liquidities are not there, you're going to end up stalling, right? Whenever liquidity comes in, that's when you have a big move up, right? Whenever you have liquidity comes in, that's when you have a big move up, right? And usually these things happen after you have to break out of the global liquidity and backtest and then rent. Break out of the global liquidity, backtest, and then rent, right? We so far had a breakout of the global liquidity, backtested, and it looks like it wants to run. Sometimes there's a delay. Sometimes a delay by like a couple months, right? Here, COVID, right? Part of the reason why global liquidity increased. Here you have a you already have actually a little bit of run here. It didn't really end up delaying it at all, right? But so far, there's a little bit of very, very interesting thing that's happening over here. There's like the divergence where global liquidity is actually going up, and stock market is correcting right at some very, very important level, right? Right in my arc, right at the Tenkan, right? It's very interesting where we're at a very, very much of a juncture of a confluence zone over here of support, and then people get extremely scared, right? You're talking about people getting extremely scared to the point where greater than 60% last week of people were bearish over the market over the next 6 months. And then this past week, we have 57.1, but that was also pulled on a Wednesday. And I think Wednesday, the market actually was doing pretty well until it plummeted again on Thursday and Friday, right? Wednesday was actually pretty good. So I think if you were to pull this towards like the end of the week, I think it would have been even more bearish. Greater than 60%, what does it mean? Well, greater than 60%, again, it's only really happened like 3 times here from like the last 15 years, right? The first time was last week or 2 weeks ago, right? The second time was in September of 2022, and we bottomed in October 2022. The time before that, that's over 60, was here around 70, which is going to be March of 2009. And that was the depth of the great financial crisis. That was the bottom, right? And it's extremely interesting how it's working out. Like here, we're that bearish, like we were over here. It's absolutely insane. When global liquidity is increasing, it's absolutely insane. I don't know what else to make sense out of that. Hey, low gains, I'm going to get to Dave here. I saw your request, don't worry. Looking at the NASDAQ, and the same thing, right? Hitting the Tenkan perfectly. Right? And if you're also looking at the GAN chart here that I have, it has really, and since the great financial crisis, things just been making higher highs and higher lows. ARK, right? Here it got rejected here. ARK came back to an angle, pushed through, right? And now we back tested ARK down here back in August with the yen carry trade scared, pushed through this horizontal line over here, and right now we're just doing a back test. Right? And people are getting extremely scared. Right now we're back testing the Tenkin over here. People are getting extremely scared. Tech tested the Tenkin, the blue line is extremely healthy for a bull market. For a bull market like this, it happened multiple times on the way up, right? So I just don't really buy into the notion that like the big bear market is starting, especially when global liquidity actually doesn't look bad. Russell 2000, right? Backtest the Kijun down here is a little bit more weaker than the other ones, but you can also look at the market symmetry that I have, and for Russell 2000, I actually drew all the way from like 1988 to now. Great market symmetry, right? ARK. We've tested this ARK multiple times. We pushed through it. Couldn't hold this angle over here, but we're basically back testing the horizontal zone right there, right? Right at the tank, right at the Kijun, right? Right at the 20-month moving average, right? The 20-month moving average, whenever you have price push up and then back test the 20-month moving average, generally if it holds. If it doesn't hold, then yeah, I mean, like everything plummets, sure. But if it holds, it's a pretty bullish combination. Low Bollinger and 20-month moving average is a pretty bullish combination. I don't have anything particularly bearish to say about the IWM, with the exception that it's just been going down for the last 4 months. Price went up from 1600 all the way to 20 almost 2500. Is going back down to around 20, so not 200. Price went from price basically going back to 2100 to about 2000, right? It's not a bearish thing. I just don't know. Like usually when you have this combo, is actually not bearish, because if you don't use any indicators here at all, this is a big giant cup and this is a handle that is expected to form to cool things down before breaking up the cup and go higher, right? This is a technical analysis that you don't really need any indicators to do. This is not a bearish structure, right? From October 2023 to currently, it's not a bearish structure. So, but the fear is just extreme. I don't know how else to say this, right? And I'm gonna get right into a few other macroeconomic, stuff. Look at ARK. This is the most degen, the crappiest stocks, supposedly the high debt stocks that Cathie have put in. You know why all these are crappy? Because of quantitative tightening, because they plummeted with ARK plummeted from like 150s all the way down to like 20s, right? But overall, what has been doing since December 2022? Higher highs and higher lows, right? We broke through this horizontal zone over here. Like you don't even need a line. You broke through a horizontal zone here and back testing it, right? We broke underneath the 0.382. That doesn't really bother me, but what's happening is we simply just got rejected here at the cloud. We simply just got rejected at 0.5 log fib. And we come back down and back test the Tenkin and Kijun, right? And it looks like it's holding. This is like the most degen, like the stuff that everybody was super hyped up over here during the run of 2000, like April 2020, all the way to like February 2021, right? This is the stuff that is like the most speculative or whatever, right? And it's forming higher highs and higher lows. And it also looks like a big giant cup over here, breakout and back testing it. I'm just showing you what I'm seeing. You guys can make the decisions yourself, right? The VIX got rejected here at the top of the cloud, right? As expected. Pretty thick cloud. The 2-year yield has been looking weak. The market has been dropping the 2-year yield. You know why? I think because the narrative has been recession now. A lot of people are talking about stagflation, inflation. I actually don't see that because yields actually been dropping. And together with the stock market, 2 years underneath the Tenkin and Kijun looks like it wants to fall through the cloud. 10-year, you have the Tenkin and Kijun getting contracted. Looks like you're maybe at a little bit of a trend change here. But 10-year has been dropping for the last 3 months, right? You have a evening star look to it. You're finding support here. You're probably gonna end up having, a little bit of a bounce here before breaking down. 10-year looks stronger. 2 years. This is actually a pretty healthy bond market. Oil, oil looks like it's about to plummet. Oil looks like it wants to keep challenging the bottom of the cloud here. It looks like it wants to break through underneath. It looks like it wants to keep on having these like dead Kennedy's bounds after that Kennedy's bounds. It looks like it wants to fall over. Inflation is not an issue. You know what that means? That means that there's going to be more room for them to print money. And what's going on with the money supply? Well, the U.S. money supply has been stalling. Why it's been stalling? I can even actually use some technical analysis because it was way outside the upper Bollinger Band. It's just simply going down. But it's installing here. But China plummeting, like it's shooting way up, right? Japanese haven't really been printing money either, but the Japanese yen is actually strengthening against US dollar right now, which makes me wonder whether or not that's the last piece of puzzle here before we go up. Stock market has been going down, crypto's been going down, US dollar has been going down. What the heck is going on, right? Can you make sense out of all of this? Well, if the global liquidity is increasing, I can make sense out of the dollar going down. I can make sense out of yields going down. I can make sense out of the stock market forming higher highs and higher lows and just having correction right at a very, very important support level, right? But the US dollar is now getting back inside the cloud. It does have a little bit of support here. I'm not sure. I think US dollar might actually find support here at the cloud temporarily. So US dollar might actually end up going up. And that might actually coincide with stock market and crypto actually going up. And that's going to get everybody very, very super confused. But this is the juncture where the US dollar is doing exactly what it needs to do right here, right now, because the global liquidity is increasing. And as the global liquidity has a breakthrough, breakout, and backtest, during this backtest here is generally a peak of the US dollar, right? Same thing here during this cycle, right? Breakthrough, backtest, and that was the peak of the US dollar, right? Same thing here, actually. Breakthrough a global liquidity about this resistance zone over here, right? Breakthrough, backtest, and that was the peak of the US dollar. I think we have just hit the peak of the US dollar, but the stock market is correcting. What is it correcting for? I don't know. It's correcting for a recession that's going to come, I guess. That's the prevailing narratives out there. Whenever I said that macro is speculative, people laugh. I feel more confident about my thesis, actually. You can't really be that bearish on the overall market if the Hang Seng has been doing well. And the Hang Seng has been doing extremely well. I think it's going to hit this target up here around the next 6 to 9 months or so. And I can't be that bearish on the US market whenever the Chinese market does well. I have these like comparisons basically just show you like there's only very, very rare exception where the Chinese market does well and the US market doesn't catch up. Chinese market can plummet and the US market can still do extremely well, but generally when the Chinese market does well, the liquidity does end up rotating back to the US market. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin here. Ooh, this is freaky because I don't look at log anymore. I'm going to look at Bitcoin here. Nothing has changed in terms of my greater thesis. Nothing has really changed all that much, right? Because this is still a monthly chart where it got rejected here at ARK, corrected for a while, pushed through backtest, and then as it backtest to ARK here, it spends a few months going stalling sideways before going up to the next ARK, right? Same thing here, backtest to ARK, push out of the ARK, spend a few months going sideways here before pushing up to the next ARK, right? We have a breakthrough of the ARK, backtest ARK for about 7 months. And right now, I'm thinking it might be a few months of consolidation before either going up to the horizontal line or the ARK up here. But during this period of time, you're going to have extreme sentiment here. During this period of time, again, you see a lot of confluence here. And you can see Bitcoin illustrate this perfectly. During a bull market, it rides the tank, it rides the blue line up on the monthly, right? Systematically backtesting this, higher highs and higher lows on the way up, right? Here, this bull cycle was just insane in like the 2020, 2021 cycle. It didn't really do the stepwise approach. It just burned everything out. extremely unhealthy, and it just end up, correcting after that. But here, during this bull market, we're doing it in a very systematic way, riding the Tenkan up, back testing it, back testing it, back testing it. And so far, I'm not really seeing anything scary here on Bitcoin, with the exception that price had dropped down 30%, which happens with Bitcoin all the time. Does it mean it has to drop down a lot further because it dropped down a lot? That's generally how people think anyway. At a higher low, how low does a higher low get? Nobody knows. Can it get a lot lower? Possible, right? I don't think it's going to necessarily go down to like 65,000 or anything like that. Anything's possible, right? But it's just a lot slower. This bull market here is just a lot slower. And this whole Bitcoin cycle thing, I don't think it has anything to do with halving. I think it has a lot to do with global liquidity. And I think that every single time when you have a bull market, it's generally you have a breakout of the horizontal zone, back testing it, and then ran. And that's when you have that big giant move up, right? Horizontal breakout zone, back test the resistance to support, and then ran. That's when you have that big giant parabolic move up, right? Horizontal resistance zone, back test it, and ran. I think we're getting ready to go up. Bitcoin should follow global liquidity over time, within a matter of months. It may not correlate from day to day. It may not correlate to week. It may not happen on the same month. And I don't know why people would expect it to have a one-to-one correlation with global liquidity at all times. But trend is your friend is forming a higher low. Again, how low does a higher low get? Nobody really knows. Right? How low does a higher low get? Nobody really knows. The invalidation of Bitcoin is tricky, right? I think that there are a couple of things you can look at when it comes to Bitcoin. Like, I can't even really invalidate Bitcoin bull market until a couple of things happen. First of all, in general, what Bitcoin bull market happens is you have a big giant parabolic move up that actually makes the Tenkan and Kijun fuse together for the most part, right? Because there's not going to be that big of a difference if things are just going up parabolically. You're going to have the Tenkan and Kijun, based on mathematically speaking, they're going to be very, very similar on the way up, right? Until it burns out and it breaks underneath of that. And when it breaks underneath of that, usually you have a few months to kind of back testing that. And if you fail to break back above, that's when a bull market ends, right? Here, same thing, right? You have such a big giant push up, right? And you broke underneath of that, and you have a hard time breaking above, right? And that's when the bull market ends. Now, granted, that approach doesn't really help you to time the top. Nobody ever times the top, right? Just like nobody really ever times the bottom. But that hasn't even really happened yet, right? Here, it did that. It couldn't push through up here, have a parabolic top, came back down. But guess what? It reclaimed the Tenkan and Kijun and made another leg up, right? So the way I see it is here, doing this bull market, went all the way up, back tested, failed, bear market, right? Here, try to push through that again, not ready yet, came back down, right? Here, bull market, push up, came back down, holding the Kijun here temporarily, but it's an exhausted bull trend, so make another slight higher high, came back down, tested a second time, couldn't hold, just plummeted down, right? During the entire time, it also got rejected up here by the Tenkan here. We're not having that morphology. We're just not having that morphology here, right? It's riding it on the way up. So I don't know what exactly people mean when they say that there's a technical breakdown that has to go down a lot lower, because you were at support, and every single time when it's support, when it drops like 30%, it happens over and over and over again in the Bitcoin bull market, right? Drops 30-40% all the time. This is just like a walk in the park. This is like cakewalk, right? This cycle is just a lot slower. It's just frustrating a lot of people when it comes to this. And a lot of people also get really frustrated because they're also in altcoins. And you're not going to really have an altcoin season until like the true global liquidity comes in, until you truly have like a very euphoric sentiment here and here. That's when altcoins really take off. You just simply haven't had that, right? Bitcoin dominance is still pretty high, right? And Bitcoin dominance just keeps on forming higher highs and higher lows over here, right? Bitcoin dominance is not going to drop until global liquidity pumps, right? Here, like global liquidity had a breakout back test here and then went up a lot higher. And that's when Bitcoin dominance starts dropping. That's when money starts rotating to altcoin. Same thing over here, right? Horizontal resistance zone, breakout back test, push up a lot higher. That's when Bitcoin dominance drops, right? And during this period of time, altcoins make an insane amount of gains. I don't care if altcoins have been down like 40, 50, 60% during this crazy move up with Bitcoin, getting everybody extremely frustrated. Like, I don't care about any of that. Bitcoin can still go up, and altcoin can still go down. But when the real global liquidity comes, altcoins can do some extremely face ripping things. And I don't know what else to say about it. I just don't know what else to say about it. And you can say that, yeah, Bitcoin's dropping so bad this weekend, right? Like it's absolutely horrible. But again, I'm showing you it's still at support level, and global liquidity is still on the up and up. It's just formed a higher high with the global liquidity, right? So what's the explanation for this? The crypto narrative is actually pretty decent, right? If the crypto narrative is pretty decent, but crypto is not doing well, global liquidity is going up, but crypto is not doing well, what explanation is there? What explanation is there besides the fact that it's lagging behind? I don't know. All right, guys, I'm gonna go dive into some of the individual stuff here. I'm gonna go through like the altcoin stuff here, just getting destroyed, and I like to talk about things when they get destroyed because I am a masochist. Ethereum has broken underneath the monthly Ichimoku cloud. It's a piece of crap that is backtesting the volume weighted average price right now from the cycle bottom. It's a piece of crap that's testing support after support after support after breaking support after breaking support after support after support, right? If I just look at overall trend here, I actually think that Ethereum is still backtesting this horizontal breakout zone over here. I still see this being maybe a wave 1 and a wave 2, and I still see wave 3 coming on a lot higher. The reason why I think that is because wave 3 happens where you have a global liquidity breakout. Yeah, we just had a global liquidity breakout, right? Wave 3 happens where you have a global liquidity breakout, and we just had a global liquidity breakout just like last time. The only exception is that Ethereum, just like Bitcoin, is lagging behind global liquidity, right? During the COVID scare over here, global liquidity is already broken out. So it's lagging behind that by a couple of months. Somebody said that, Raoul Paul said that you have a 75-day lag. I don't know like if that's like scientific or not, but I can totally see that. But yeah, I mean, considering I think Ethereum is basically just kind of doing what it's supposed to be doing. And really, honestly, like there's not really been any volume here so far across different exchanges. I think that maybe this is my theory. Okay, this is my theory. Trump and his account, if you will, like they're loading up on Ethereum. A lot of big money want access to Ethereum. They simply haven't had that until the ETF came out. And when the ETF came out, they're not just going to push it up higher because they haven't gotten in yet. How are they going to get in? Well, they got to plummet the price. How are they going to plummet the price? By telling you Ethereum is crap. Why is Ethereum crap? Because there's no utilization, because there's a lot of competition, because Ethereum is just a dinosaur coin, because Ethereum is not going to go up anymore, because Ethereum is done, right? The same narrative had happened with Bitcoin as well. Nobody's really doubting that on Bitcoin anymore because it's been forming higher highs and higher lows, right? If you're still doubting Bitcoin, I don't know why you're here listening to me yapping about this. But I still think that right now the lack of euphoric sentiment, the horrible sentiment over here is almost very similar to COVID. Things don't make sense, right? when global liquidity is just starting to roll up here. I think Ethereum is going to do pretty well. XRP is still holding the Tenkan and Cushion monthly support, right? It's just correcting this big giant move up. XRP is still probably targeting this area up here around $8. There's nothing changed with XRP. Is form a higher high. It might need to form a higher low at some point. It might break down that level and back to 0.76 here, $1.61. That would not surprise me at all. But overall, it's forming higher highs and higher lows, right? DOGE, higher highs and higher lows. How low does the higher low get? Nobody knows, right? The 20-minute moving average all the way down here around like 15 cents. If it decides to come back and backtest the 20-minute moving average like it did over here, 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 it's not a bad thing. I mean, granted, my bag, like I've been buying like, down here, I've been buying down here, and I've been down like over here. Does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. But still higher high, higher low type situation, right? I mean, I don't know, like if you can't handle volatility, if you can't handle Doge, and I'm looking at log scale because this is exponentially growing assets that go through economic cycle. You can see cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, right? And this cycle is a lot longer than the last 2 cycles because global liquidity increasing has been a lot longer compared to the last 2 cycles, right? Here, go sideways for about a year and a half, breakout backtest up. Here, go sideways for about a year and a half, breakout backtest up, right? Here, go sideways for about 2.5 years. Backtest took about like half a year and then up, right? It's just a lot slower. If you cannot handle this kind of volatility, if you expect those to just kind of keep going like moonshot like that, you cannot handle these higher highs and higher lows type things on log scale, then the crypto market is not for you. You should exit. You should not be here. If you cannot handle a downtrend from 49 cents to like 18, 17, 16 cents, when it goes down, basically it goes down like 60, 70%, right? If you cannot handle it goes from 24 cents all the way down to 8 cents, about 60, 70%, right? If you cannot handle it during a bull trend on Dogecoin, maybe reconsider. If you cannot handle price going from like 0.4 cents all the way down to 0.0006 cents, then you're not going to deserve the gain that you're going to make to about like 1.6 cents or 1.8 cents, right? That's just the reality. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, with the exception that, yes, it's been breaking support after support after support. There are a lot of really higher time frame support underneath below here. Even for the weekly, it would not surprise me at all if those coins just wick all the way down to like 14 cents and 15 cents. And that would still be a bull trend, right? That's where the Ichimoku cloud here on the weekly and 2 week, right? On the 2 week here, it broke through, back test the bottom here, push through, and we haven't had the back test of the Ichimoku cloud yet. If it does that, I'm gonna do what I can to buy as much as I can. I don't have like crazy amount of cash, but I might end up rebalancing stuff and I might end up getting to more Dogecoin, right? Should you have sold up here? Maybe. But who knows what's gonna, happen exactly, right? All I know is that gold is going up, and I think Dogecoin is forming higher lows and higher highs. I'm gonna try to catch the falling knife here on these kind of higher lows, right? I did over here. I don't know why Dogecoin went all the way down to like 8.8 cents. I don't know. I don't care. I was buying, right? It's insane. I don't know why Dogecoin has to go all the way down to like 14 cents if it does end up doing that. I don't care. If you're going to do that, I'm going to try to buy what I can because it's still higher low type situation. And global liquidity has just broken up. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people are not really like understanding what I mean by that this is still a bull market. Because it's certainly, if you don't look at log, yeah, it's a bear market. But I look at log because log tells me cycles. Because log tells me what the previous behaviors were, and it gives me more idea in terms of what, based on past experience, what could potentially happen in the future. It's not necessarily going to play out the same way every single time. Far from it, right? But it's pretty good. Like right now, if you eyeball, I think like over here, Dogecoin, even during this big giant parabolic move up on the weekly, it backtest this horizontal breakout zone, right? Didn't go down that far, but back tested it. Here, what are we doing? We're back testing this horizontal breakout zone, right? So I just want to have a little bit more of a higher time frame look. Same thing with SHIBA, right? Back testing this horizontal breakout zone still, right? That's what it does. Now, if you want to get into a little bit more of a speculative meme coin kind of thing, you're going to expect them to underperform Doge and Shiba because liquidity might have already pumped your favorite meme coin up a lot higher, and it might already have been um, a lot of extra liquidity has already been needed from this like final pump up, right? This is BONK, right? BONK did extremely well for the entire end of 2023. A lot of people end up back holding because they think that it's just going to keep going a lot higher. But money's maybe rotating to something else already, right? Look at how much underperforming is between that and Doge, right? It's just like BONK just formed a lower high. No, sorry, higher a lower low, right? And Doge is still in the process of forming a higher low, right? PEPE, same thing, right? Big giant move has already been made, and I think that this downtrend over here it's kind of performing, I guess, a little bit equal to like SHIBA, depending on where you bought it, but it's definitely underperforming Doge, right? Because a big giant move has already been happening. Can PEPE continue to outperform? Possibly, right? But I don't know the answer to that. Like that's why I don't own any PEPE. That's why I don't own any BONK. That's why I own majority of my dog coins or meme coins are Doge, and I also own some Shiba. That's the reason why I do that, right? Solana has also been extremely brutalized, but it's also just been having a hard time breaking above the previous all-time high and coming back and back test the 0.786 lock fib here, which is not a bearish market structure, but a lot of gains have already been made, right? So that's maybe part of the reason why it's lagging behind here. If you have to choose between Solana and Ethereum, Solana is still outperforming. Solana is still outperforming. So there's nothing like nothing else I can really say about it. I do think that Chainlink, even though I did have a pretty decent market symmetry here, it broke down underneath my ARK here in a great way. Backtest the ARK, failed to push through, came back down. Well, what is it trying to search for right now? What kind of support is it looking for? This is still very much of a high low type situation, and you still have like some pretty decent wicks over here. I think it's okay. ADA actually is looking pretty good. Like Cardano's actually looking pretty good. You have like that news-driven event that got everybody excited, myself included. Got rejected here at the 0.618 after it bounced from the cloud, right? And it got rejected at 0.618. Couldn't hold the ARK over here. Couldn't hold the Tenkan inclusion over here, and basically it's just doing a little bit of like a reversal here. Like, you bought the news, I'm going to punish you. But it still looked like a pretty decent crypto, right? Higher highs and higher lows. That's what I'm seeing is higher highs and higher lows, right? And if I do the monthly Bollinger Band here, it's basically have a hard time breaking above the upper Bollinger Band, coming back down, back test to 20, and it looks like it wants to build up more momentum on to the upside, right? It's not ready yet. JASMY, one of those that I've been absolutely destroyed with because I bought down here and it went up a lot, and now I'm just up a little bit, right? It's forming a lower low. What's going on? Well, there are two things that are going on. One is it looks like I might want to backtest the 0.236 here. It's getting pretty close. The other thing is I think it's been holding this ARK over here extremely well, and I think it's backtesting this ARK here finally, right? It might end up just touching and form a wick, and it might end up just getting above the ARK here. I'm a buyer for JASMY here, actually. If I have money, if price continues to kind of stay low around this area, I'm a buyer of JASMY. It's a very, very brutal structure. This is a big giant macrophone, if you will. Higher highs, lower lows, absolutely insane, right? Drive everybody absolutely insane. When it broke down underneath the angle over here, when it broke down underneath the Ichimoku cloud over here, I saw the potential for it to come all the way back down here. I did not sell my JASMY because, again, because global liquidity is increasing and because I think JASMY is going to do pretty well moving forward, right? On the higher targets I've been showing before. But I was eyeing down here. I was wondering if it gets back down here. And if it does, I'm going to start buying JASMY. And I think it's getting to a zone where it's getting pretty interesting. It's getting pretty interesting here. Interestingly painful, yeah. It's a falling knife, yeah. If you want to see how it reacts here first before it plummets all the way down to 0 before you buy, yeah. It's a reasonable approach. But that's an area that I've been kind of eyeing here for a while and it's finally touching it. I can keep going on and on about crypto, but I'm going to just end with this. This is the others chart. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows still. This higher low over here is extremely brutalized, but still back test of this horizontal zone over here. Back test of this Ichimoku cloud over here after breakout. Back test is not a bearish thing if it holds, right? Back test 0.618 over here, right? So far, we have multiple wicks over here, a lot of demand over here. They kept on just wanting to push this a lot lower. It is what it is, right? But we're at support. And so far, even with a candle closing underneath of this area zone over here, I'm not even sure whether or not it could be it could still be like a false breakdown. Like the week is not over yet. We still have another 7 hours to go, and they've been plummeting all these crypto here on like no volume here, which is actually to me is quite telling. Going back to Bitcoin, what is it doing? It's just back testing the tank, the kitchen over here. Going back to Bitcoin, what's it doing? It's just back testing the angle over here. I have a daily can here too that I can show you that has also some pretty decent market symmetry. You can see how it's just been basically bouncing between these two arcs, and it's been holding the bottom of the arc over here pretty well. It's got a pretty decent confluent support zone over here. It's kind of broken underneath the confluent zone over here, but the day is not over yet. I mean, the day is going to be over in about, I think actually going to be over about like 8 hours now. Anyway, I don't know. Daylight savings will throw me off. But it's still not really that bad, right? It's just stuck between the two arcs over here, right? I don't have a whole lot more to say about this, with the exception that I think after the live stream's over, I'm going to see what I can buy here. With the limited amount of funds that I have, because I think that is a pretty decent risk-reward ratio if I end up buying across the board here with these crypto. But that's just me talking. I'm not going to be deterministic about anything here, right? That's just me talking. Let's do some chart requests here, knock them out of the way. I don't know if you guys have any requests. I can oh, actually, somebody asked me about Fetch AI. I'm just going to go through that here. If I can find that. And nobody asked me about Fetch AI anymore because things just been extremely brutalized, right? And nobody's asking me about that anymore because people don't care anymore. I think it has a way to do that whenever it forms these like ABC correction. Yeah, I mean, like, it's been extremely brutalized after it got rejected here, the ARK and the ARK, right? It's been trying to find support. I was wondering whether or not this line support over here would hold. If not, it goes back to 0.618, right? Which is a pretty decent support level. If not, then it goes down to the angle over here, right? Nobody knows how low this thing would get because it went through from like 5 cents all the way up to like $3.30 here within a matter of like a year and a half, you know? So nobody knows how brutal the correction is going to be, but it's still back testing this, zone over here after it broke back above, right? It's a pretty, pretty scary falling knife, if you will, kind of like what JASMY is doing. But I still think that the risk reward ratio is probably going to get better down here at a horizontal zone after its breakout, right? I cannot guarantee it. I cannot guarantee anything. All I can say is that global liquidity is increasing. I still think all coins are going to do pretty decent moving forward in 2025. I can sound extremely crazy by saying that, but I actually still believe that. So, GLXY Digital. What do I think about this? Well, first of all, I like to look at the monthly here. If you look at the monthly, it's pretty clear in terms of what it's doing. It broke through the Ichimoku cloud here on big volume, right? And when you have that big impulse and you hit the 0.86, which is a pretty important FIP level, it tried to get rejected here at 0.76. It pushed up to 0.86 anyway, right? 0.786 is a pretty important level. It pushed through that anyway. So what happens after you broke multiple FIP levels? You get tired, you get rejected, you push through a very, very important resistance zone over here. You come back down, back testing the support. How low can it get? I think the horizontal zone over here is a pretty decent area that I need to go to, right? 0.618, bottom of the cloud over here, anywhere from like 15 to 18 bucks is fair game. Does it have to go down that much further? I don't know. But anywhere here is fair game. It's just the way that the market should work, right? Does it fall all the way down to 15 bucks here on the weekly Ichimoku cloud after broken out over here? Like almost like a year and a half ago, does it backtest Ichimoku cloud before her bullish continuation? Possible, right? Possible. Is that a bearish thing? I don't know. Are we having some kind of support here and it doesn't have to go down further? Sure, 0.618, lower weekly Bollinger Band, right? All of these things could potentially serve as support, right? So the way I see it is that, yeah, we're the downtrend here on the short term. It can always go down further. But on a higher time frame, on the monthly time frame, this is still very much of a bull trend, right? You are having some cool off here. Bollinger Band is getting contracted here on the monthly, but again, you're still above a lot of really key support levels. So I'm not bearish on GLXY. I do think that the lower it gets down to like 17-15 range would be a lot of support levels down here. Even the 20-month moving average is at $15. So that's just something to kind of consider here, right? Another chart request. I'm going to go through some of y'all's questions here. What do I say to the DAX? I haven't looked at the DAX here. Interesting, Kurt. The DAX index. Yeah, it's yeah. Is a bullish? Yeah. Like this is ridiculous, right? Now, if you're asking me whether or not we're hitting any resistance zone, I really have to do like fibs here. I think it's probably gonna hit like the 2.272. It's still got some room to go up. And I think eventually like the liquidity is gonna end up rotating into other markets. So you can't just have the DAX going up like this. This is crazy. Am I looking at the right thing here? This is absolutely crazy. Anyway, if this is true, if this is a true German market, let me see. Okay. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, this thing is real. It's ticking off. Is a parabolic bull trend, up a Bollinger Band, low Bollinger Band, expanding on a monthly 20-moving average, going up. Is a bull trend. Is awesome. I think money is kind of rotating back around. Right? Can China raise global liquidity, or do the states and EU have to chip into? I have no idea. I'm not sure if I'd be able to answer a question. Rachel asked about XYZ. The truth is, XYZ has been extremely brutal. The truth is that I really thought that this is going to be a good back test here at 0.382 after a breakout over here on increasing volume. But earnings just kind of push things down further, right? So now you have to find what's going to happen with XYZ right now. What are the support levels? Is this something that's worth getting into? It's a very, very tough question to answer. So I'm going to look at the daily here. And I'm going to try to look at the on-balance volume. And I'm not seeing any bullish divergence here. If I look at the weekly here, and I look at the volume, I do see some, actually, no, I'm not really seeing any bullish divergence here either, right? If I look at RSI, I'm also not really seeing any like major bullish divergence. I see some hidden bullish divergence, but generally they're weaker than actual bullish divergence. I think this downtrend over here could have been a breakout and another back test of Ichimoku cloud, but it's kind of broken underneath of that, so I can't really use that as my support level. Also broke down underneath the 0.236, unless if this is a false breakdown and next week we go back up, right? It's also been overextended to the downside here, even on a weekly Bollinger Band. Usually, if it hits the bottom weekly Bollinger Band, you have a chance to at least form a pretty decent bottom, right? But it's just been overextended below it. It's a falling knife right now. I did not own any XYZ. I thought about entering here whenever you have a downtrend here with a bull flag here on declining volume, but earning really is just throwing everything out. And it even broke down underneath like a pretty decently uptrending bullish support band. It just broke down underneath of that, right? I think the only good thing right now with XYZ in a short term is that it is a little bit too far overstretched to the downside. I think it's going to end up retracing back to the mean over the coming weeks. And I think the good thing on the higher time frame on XYZ is that it is still turning overall the 20-month moving average from negative sloping here to flat, even though we're underneath of that right now. But I still think it's a good chance to kind of break back above because it's still relatively flat, right? I still think this is a big giant accumulation zone, and this is like an inverted head and shoulder with like 2 extra shoulders. I still think this is accumulation. When is it over? I don't know. So LMT, Lockheed Martin. You know that this is probably bottom because it touched the cloud, right? So it's going to bounce. Where's it going to bounce? Does it make a V-shaped recovery going back to all-time high? Probably not. You got all these resistance levels up here above around 500, 520. I think it's probably going to gravitating back up to that zone. But you're also hitting a resistance zone right now as we speak, right? The 20-month moving average. You broke down underneath of it and you back testing it. Doesn't mean that it's going to end up pushing up a lot higher at resistance. Not necessarily. I do worry about it getting rejected and make another leg lower. So this is not a stock that I see enough risk reward ratio to enter. Although if you're in it and you believe in the fundamentals, you think that it's going to do pretty decent. Bouncing off the monthly Ichimoku cloud is not a small thing, right? And you also have a little bit of a morning star look to it, where you have a red candle, hammer, green candle. The same thing happened over here, and we end up having this move up, right? Same thing happened over here, and we end up having this move up, right? Very similar morphology over here. We end up having a little bit of move up, right? So I'm neutral. I'm neutral. I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to sell. If I have it, I'm just going to hold because of this formation. But I wouldn't buy right at resistance. I just wouldn't. And that's that. People enter the crypto market. Yeah, this is a small drop for sure, considering that. FTM, I'm guessing is Phantom and now is Sonic. I think that I don't know what would be like the best way for me to chart it. Is Kraken still showing it as FTM? I think it is, right? It's just going sideways here. Is trendless. Is hucking a slightly positive sloping 20-month moving average to go up. Is trendless. Is underneath the technical indication over here is trendless. This is performing relatively well, considering how the overall altcoin market has been plummeting. This is performing relatively well, right? Overall, it's still making higher highs and higher lows because you can see the 20-month moving average still slightly positive sloping. But I don't really have any like key levels or any great revelation to really bring into the picture because it's been oscillating around the Ichimoku. It's been oscillating around the Buran support band. I don't have anything like revolutionarily speaking to say, oh, something, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. All I know is that I love these kind of downtrend here on declining volume. And I love the fact that when price goes up, increasing volume. When price goes down, you have declining volume. That's usually a telltale sign that this is a reaccumulation zone. That's all I can really say. And I'm probably just going to leave it as that. What is ENA? Is it a crypto or is it a stock? Is it European? Is it Italian market? What is ENA? Is it a crypto? It's a crypto, and it same thing, right? Oscillating around, big giant cup over here. I think the handle is a little bit too far down now. I'm not sure if I could call this a handle anymore. But if you're asking about whether or not we're at a support zone, the only thing I can really do is a fit level here is trying to hold a 0.382 here with multiple wicks down below is backtesting the breakout of this horizontal zone over here. So I think maybe we're getting close to finding a bottom over here of this big giant vicious downtrend, right? If you look at daily, you can also see that this downtrend has decelerated. You can see that the downtrend has been happening on a lot of bullish diversions that's been building up, so it's probably bottoming. That's all I can say. And if you want to look for higher targets, here you are, right? If it breaks above the 0.786 again, if it truly breaks up previous all-time high here, then some of these like $2, $3, $5 target is possible, assuming global liquidity is going up. What else do you guys want to talk about? What else do you guys want to talk about? MSTR, yeah, is stuck in a range. It's just stuck in a range. It broke down underneath the 1.414, broke down underneath the scan horizontal line over here, came back test the arc here, back to 1.272 right now, and stuck in the range right now. And the range over here is very, very stuck because it's getting stuck here on high volume. It's just whipsawing you over here. It's trying to pick a direction. The direction is currently higher highs and higher lows. Just like Bitcoin, right? I don't like that it broke down underneath the Tenkan, the blue line over here. It's stuck in the range right now here on Ichimoku too, between the Tenkan and the Kijun. Stuck in the range, stuck in the range, stuck in the range, higher highs, higher lows. We'll see, right? I would say that if it breaks down underneath the arc, it could test the angle down here, which means that there's still a little bit lower if it ends up doing that. And it could still have the bottom of the arc over here, which can still serve as support, right? But you already come back that back test the 230s range. It had a pretty good reaction going back to the 280s. I think I'm just not gonna touch it. If it goes down to like a lot of these lower levels down here below, I might consider adding. But again, I'm gonna see how it reacts here over the next coming weeks. This volume here is very, very telling. We might have a reversal here, but I'm not sure, right? We might have a reversal here. I'm not sure. Just looking at the monthly too, you can see that how you have a decline in volume over here on a downtrend. It's trying to find support. It's not broken down yet. It's just not broken down yet. So I don't know. If global liquidity increases, I think my strategy is going to do extremely well. Coinbase, interesting, right? The month is still early. So far, we have a little bit of a tweezer bottom look to it. On the weekly and the monthly, I love the tweezer bottom right into Ichimoku, right? That actually makes me a little bit more bullish on altcoins. So I don't know, like if you look at altcoin destruction this weekend on low volume, actually makes me wonder whether or not we're actually closing the week pretty decent here. I don't have a whole lot to add here. I mean, like you can look at all these scan levels. It broke down underneath my angle, came back to the horizontal line over here, broke down underneath the 0.76, just simply couldn't hold it. Back testing horizontal zone here, but end up breaking underneath. Now you back testing this horizontal zone over here. It's not a bad thing, right? Like if you just look at overall price, like it's just back testing horizontal zone, the data all the way back here in 2021. And it's finding some pretty decent support with a lot of decent wicks, right? And the entire time with these wicks happening right now, it's got some really increasing volume over here too. So there's a lot of like demand behind the scene. I'm not bearish on Coinbase. The monthly Bollinger Band, you can see the 20-month moving average is still up. We're at a very nicely decisive point right here, right? We need to decide if we're going to end up bouncing from here. We've also been taking a stepwise approach where it just kind of break above the Tenkan Kijun, had a bullish cross, broke back down, back test, morning star, up, came back down, back test the Kijun down here again, right? It's forming a systematic stepwise approach on the way up, just like what Bitcoin is doing. So I'm not bearish on Coinbase. It's already corrected from like the 350s all the way down to the 200s. And the fact that it's forming higher highs and higher lows, I think is telling. I can talk more about like CleanSpark, Mara, Bitfarms, all that stuff, but at this point, it's kind of pointless to talk about that because it's really broken underneath a lot of the previously thought support level. It's just been a parabolic uptrend, and this thing surprised a lot of people on the upside, and this downside here is surprising a lot of people to the downside. I don't have a whole lot of smart things to say, with the exception that sometimes, and these things are extremely difficult to chart, by the way. Like miners are just the hardest thing to chart ever. Volume is king. Look for volume imbalances. You have volume imbalance here where you have a downtrend here on the daily and an uptrend here on the volume, right? Look for volume imbalances. That's all I have to say. Because otherwise, I don't have like levels that absolutely has to hold or whatever, right? All I'm saying is that you look at volume, you see what it's doing. CleanSpark is actually got a lot of volume imbalance. CleanSpark's actually got a lot of shorts. CleanSpark is actually doing a very, very brutal correction over here after a big giant move up, right? You can say that is it the same thing over here, and it's going to end up breaking down a lot further. Is the bear market starting here, right? Anything is possible, with the exception that CleanSpark was not a miner until December 2020. So whatever happened before that, you have to take that with a grain of salt, right? I think ultimately it depends on whether or not you think that Bitcoin is entering a bear market, whether or not you think that global liquidity is going down. If it is, then CleanSpark is going to do extremely poorly, right? But CleanSpark has made like a 13x when Bitcoin made like a 4x. And right now, CleanSpark is dropping like, 60%, whatever Bitcoin is dropping like 30%. I don't have a whole lot of things to add to that. I just don't have a whole lot of things to kind of add to that. You do have a relative downtrend here on the weekly, right? I mean, this candle over here is a little slightly higher than this one over here, but the RSI is going up. You have a lot of bullish divergence here that's still more or less being built up here on the weekly. Last time when you had bearish divergence, where price went up from like 11, 12 bucks all the way to like 24, 25, right? It was happening on bearish divergence. Here, you're starting to have some bullish divergence here being built up on the weekly. This bearish divergence has been extremely difficult to recover from, right? But right now you have bullish divergence here being built up for the first time for a very long time. So yeah, we'll see. Last time you see this kind of bullish divergence, where was that? It was right here, right? Price just plummeted all the way down here. But you have bullish divergence that's being built up here for a very long time, for months, right? And this downtrend so far we have right here is not as vicious as this downtrend that we have over here. So we'll see. Mara, what do I think about Mara? I think Mara, I like these wicks on high volume, right? I like the fact that it's still kind of more or less back testing this horizontal zone over here. I like the fact that if I look at the unbalanced volume, there is an imbalance on the volume where price went down, but all volume actually has gone up, right? So these bullish divergences are very, very nice, right? When was the last time I saw a weekly bullish divergence where price gone down here for months and unbalanced volume goes up, right? When was the last time I saw that? Price gone down here, unbalanced volume gone up. That's the last time I saw it. I mean, you also kind of see it down here a little bit. Price kind of going down here. but I think the key, like the key thing is, I think we've had some pretty proper correction here, and I see some bullish momentum here being built up. So I end up rebalancing into CleanSmart, rebalancing into Mara, rebalancing into Cypher, rebalancing to a bunch of other stuff. I can talk about all the miners all together, I suppose, but like it doesn't really matter to me anymore. In terms of the actual levels, I think what matters more is number one, global liquidity, and number two, volume, and number three, whether or not you're experiencing any like bullish divergence. And I'm seeing that with miners finally. And they actually have been holding pretty well considering like how Bitcoin has been doing, pretty poorly. So maybe that also tells you something too, right? I think I've answered a lot of y'all's questions, and I think that this live stream has been going on for over an hour. I want to thank you all for joining, and again, I'm going to keep trying to do my best to do these live stream here on the weekends. I try to announce it about a day or half a day before, so you guys can make it. And feel free to make any kind of requests here while you're on the live stream. It's going to be open to all the members. If you want to make any like specific requests outside of the live stream, please join the higher tier, just so that I can, limit the chart requests, because I still want to help you. I still love doing chart requests. I just have to limit the chart request volume one way or another. So I decided to create a separate tier just in case if you want to do that. Honestly, though, if you are on my YouTube channel, if you haven't checked out my lessons, you should check out all of the lessons that I have, because they basically tell you the way that I think. If you enjoy the way that I think logically, even though it may or may not work out, and if you want to see what I see, just go through the lessons. You don't need me, right? Many of you are actually probably even better than I am at this point. So you don't really need me. But for those people who would like some extra interaction, chart requests, things like that, to kind of hear my thoughts, and that also keeps my little cat brain more active too. I can do more chart requests and think about different charts, and actually end up seeing some charts that make me like pretty interested as well. So I like doing them. I know 20 secret minutes that nobody else is going to be able to watch. But anyway, I want to thank you all for joining on a scary Sunday morning on low volume, where a lot of liquidity is being grabbed here. I'm just don't know. Like, if you look at this whole liquidation map over here, the heat map over here, it doesn't always have to work out, because it just doesn't have to. The exchanges can end up manipulating prices one way or another. There are a few reasons for that. One is really based on true supply and demand, and if they have brought enough fear, sometimes there's just not enough demand to actually push price up higher. Even if they want to liquidate the longs up here, they may not be able to. Sorry, the shorts up here, they may not be able to. And the shorts may actually be directionally correct. They may actually not end up being liquidated. But if they continue to remain, they have about a week for price to go back up to like the 95,000 range to liquidate these guys, right? And we already came back down and liquidated a lot of people who was directionally thinking that we're going to go up here this weekend, but we end up not doing that, and all these people end up losing a lot of money here, and like hundreds of millions of dollars has already been lost by degens, if you will, right? Whereas you have hundreds of millions of dollars of bets up above here to say that Bitcoin's going to go lower. So what's going to happen? We don't know. All I know is it's a low volume liquidity grab weekend, and also if they want to grab your coins, I think it's the best time to do is to do it on the weekend, to scare you, grab that out of you, and then that's it. So when global liquidity is actually rising. Why do they have a week? Well, because there you can actually have different time frames here. Certain people open their leverage positions with different liquidation levels and with different timing too. Like there are these like perpetual contracts and things like that too that these different exchanges can have that are time based. So you might actually end up having, people like you see if you just look at 24 hours, there you're not showing any like the like 95,000, you see more of like a lower number like 87,000. But anyway, I digress. You guys have a good one. Take care. Bye.